Well, good afternoon, good evening. This is Thursday, September 10th, and we are here for another edition of Digi Sis in the Digi World. My name is Ina P. Montgomery, and my organization is Urban Tech, where the TEC stands for Technology Empowered Communities. And my organization is Urban Tech, digital literacy, where the TEC stands for Technology Empowered Communities. And my organization is Urban Tech, digital literacy, where the TEC. Continue or start over? So we work to close the digital literacy divide in urban schools and communities. And I do that through a variety of different ways, through educational programs, through training, by technology-led field trips for high school students, middle school students, by delivering my STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, math lab program to K through 5 elementary schools in several districts in partnership with LINC, Local Investment Commission. I'm glad to be signed up with them for this year. However, I will be doing a virtual delivery. So I'm excited about that. Got some things in the works. I'll be teaching coding. I'll be teaching 3D printing. I don't know if you all can see. I'm actually in my office today, kind of excited to be airing from my office. And I am trying to show off my lovely 3D printer. So if you see that there, so with me being here at Central High School, I started last year printing keychains. So you can see there in my lovely 3D printer, I've got some new keychains for the new teachers coming in. I did that design, I did that design last year and just, it's on the flash drive, hit print. And so I've got some 3D prints. And I will be doing that as well with students, just teaching them basic 2D, 3D modeling, allowing them to upload their project, send it to me, and then I will print their project. I also want to show off, while I'm talking about 3D printing, if you can see my earrings here, these were 3D printed also by my partner, 3DHQ, who's on the plaza. Well, I'm talking about 3D. So they've got this size printing of earrings. They have a larger one, and then they have a keychain. So if you still would like to get a Black Lives Matter pair of earrings or a keychain, you can get that from 3DHQ on the plaza. They're across the street from Fego de Chao on the main street, 47th Street. And I will be also eventually printing my own here on my lovely 3D printer back there in the background. So, so that's exciting. So today I am going to simply give an update. We know some of the schools have started, and unfortunately, some of the schools did have some technical problems. I think Lee Summit, Raytown experienced some technical difficulties in getting their school year kicked off on Tuesday, which is the date that a lot of school districts started. So I'm going to, had a chance to talk to the education reporter with KUAW, Ellie Moxley, and she gave me some just general information about all the schools that are doing a hybrid. Some schools are actually meeting in person, and some schools like KCPS and KCK and Center and Hickman and Grandview and several other districts made the decision, and it was kind of a last minute decision to go virtual online. So the tentative plan for some of the districts, and in these COVID days, everything is very fluid. There is no definitive decision. There's no definitive information because the information is changing every day. However, what we do know is that the numbers in Jackson, Cass, and Clay County, to the extent that the mayor, Quentin Lucas, is having a strong consideration right now of going back to a strong mandate of closing businesses. And so We're trying to avoid that as much as possible, but it's going to take the effort of everybody in the community wearing their mask at all times when you're out to stop the spread. And so I don't know if the numbers from Labor Day have come out yet, but there was a lot of concern about people in large gatherings over the Labor Day holiday. So anyway, going back to schools. So schools are trying to make the decision, and they're doing this day by day. How's it going? And I brought up the county information, Jackson County, because they have to look at what's going on in the greater city. Is it safe for our kids to return? Because when you've got kids coming from one community, from another community, and then they're all gathering in one space, the likelihood of a COVID outbreak is pretty high. For example, St. Teresa's Academy, they started off in person, and I believe Pembroke as well. So I'm just not going to call different schools out, because there's a lot of things going on with a lot of schools, but they had to go to virtual because of outbreaks of COVID in their settings. And so we know by now COVID does not respect any person, any social class, any race. It's just out there, and until we've got a vaccination, until it's known what's exactly going on with this virus, it's going to continue to be out there and getting all communities. So when I look back at my conversation with Elle Moxley today, she also mentioned the fact that suburban parents are very anxious, of course, for their kids to return. She also talked about the involvement and the voice, strong voice, if you will, that suburban parents have within their school districts, and they're anxious, of course, for their kids to get back. However, in some of those homes, you do have moms who stay at home. They're referred to as the soccer moms, and they're very engaged with the child's education. They're very engaged with their child's socialization and developmental skills as they go through their educational experience. You take that contrast with a child maybe in the urban core who doesn't have that kind of parental engagement, just because the structure of the family is different and the mother doesn't have the luxury to stay at home. There may only be a single mother in that house who's taking care of more than one child, who is an essential worker. Therefore, she or he has to work, and the child then is left at home. And so when we look at, well, what's the guidance from the state? What is DESE saying? What is the state of Kansas saying to these school districts? And as we're finding out, or have already found out, each school district is kind of at their own to make a decision. There is no guidance, there is no leadership, there is no matrix coming from the state level as to the best way to open a school, or the best way to make a decision on whether a school opens or not. What we do know is that for some school districts, they are deciding, hey, we're going to do a hybrid, or we're going to start virtual, then we're going to look at the COVID numbers based on the county level. And if they're low, we're going to bring back K-3. So these are some of the tentative plans right now that we do know about. What we also know is that, let's say, for example, let me see, Independence is facing elementary and hybrid. They're doing face-to-face for elementary students, hybrid for older students. Fort Osage is also doing a hybrid for older students. Lee Summit and Blue Valley are looking at, I believe their K-3 are attending school. Make sure you verify that. I believe that's what she said on my phone call with her. Charter schools are also going virtual versus public schools. They have decided that virtual would be the best for their students as well. Let me see. So we know that with COVID, if some communities feel safe, which is what Ellie said, they feel safe saying that, well, we're not going to have as high numbers of COVID because nobody in our community has COVID. What is missing there is the information that if somebody from that community, let's say a relative from another county or from another community comes to visit and they're asymptomatic and then they're around you, you can get COVID just unknowingly. So we still have to be careful around family and friends, especially if we're not around that person on a regular basis, just because we don't know where they have been. That's where contact tracing comes in handy. So I hope that you guys are abiding by the request for contact tracing. If you're actually going to a place, provide your information so that in case somebody does have to reach out to you, or in case, reach out to you because somebody at that event or that gathering did test positive, or several people tested positive, then you then want to know, or you want to be able to be reached to find out. So as we move on with the opening of schools, the issues of technology. So what I found out is that the orders of Chromebooks, the orders of hotspots, these are all on a backlog. This is national. This is not local. This is not state. It's not regional. With the onset coming out of last school year of having to go virtual for schools, then the orders went in, oh, we need to get some devices. We need to get some hotspots. And it sounds as if Joe Phillips of KCPS, and again, I'm going based on what Ellie advised me, had the understanding enough coming out of last school year to say, hey, we had some devices we were going to get rid of, but we're going to hang on to these devices and see what happens. And because he did that, I believe they were able to, and probably not cover every student, but they're not as bad as in shape as far as getting devices out to KCPS students. With me here at Central High School, you guys know this is where I'm located. And again, here's my lovely space. It's kind of clean today, so it actually doesn't look that bad. That's my little corner I'm putting together over there. And so anyway, here at Central, I know the district people have been set up and handing out devices even today. And so they've had a couple of distributions of days of devices to students. So I feel comfortable, again, because of, I guess, Joe's foresight to say, hey, we're not going to recycle these devices. We're going to hang on to them. And so they still have devices ready to give out to students. And so I think that's just a great thing. Now, let me go back to some of the state information she shared with me. So attendance is one of the big issues and concerns that people have during these COVID times. And so the states coming out of last year, at least the state of Missouri, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, referred to as DESE, did an attendance waiver. They said, okay, this is something new. We don't know where we're at. So we're just going to waive our attendance policy on the state level. What I found out today is that they asked each district, hey, make a plan for counting your attendance and then submit that to the state for approval. Also, for all remote and virtual learning, the state does have a formula for counting those students, because even before COVID hit, there were already online schools. There was one, it was at KUAW.com. That was already out there. So there were already entities and organizations who were doing online learning. And so the state already had a formula. There was already a way to figure out how do we fully understand the number of students who are online. So what the state of Missouri is saying, hey, we're going to use that formula, and each school will be paid per pupil as normal with the attendance plan that they that they filed with the state. So right now, and again, that might be fluid. That's what DESE's saying right now for statewide. However, with everything else, that might change. Hybrid might throw a wrench in that. So they're going to have to come up with something if, in fact, the COVID numbers do come down and some districts like KCPS and others who are saying, okay, if the numbers come down, we're going to let the babies K-3 go back to school. So we're going to wait to see. So as I find out, I will keep you informed as I'm informed. Now let's cross the river here over to Kansas. So what I understand about Kansas is that Kansas has this whole different policy, and their policy, which is a state statute and cannot be changed, is that students must attend school for 360 minutes per day, which equals 6 hours per day. If they are having synchronous learning, for asynchronous learning, they must have a log that the student is working on. I'm sorry, that the student is actually attending for attendance purposes. So now I bring up two new words that you may or may not be aware of, and that's synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous means that the student is online with the teacher in real time, live, Zoom, StreamYard, whatever is being used out there. The teacher can see the student can see the teacher. Asynchronous means that the teacher is giving the student an assignment, and the student is then responsible for logging into their device and either going online to complete their assignment. And so the teacher then has to keep up with the log of the students who actually do that. So I think, I think a lot of things about that. I don't want to give too much of an opinion, but that just seems to be kind of open for, I don't know, just kind of open for things to happen that probably shouldn't happen as far as accountability and record keeping. But that is the policy for the state of Kansas. And again, it's state statute. So therefore, that cannot be changed unless the legislature wants to change that. And as at the start of this school year, there was no effort or interest in getting that changed. So that's where the state of Kansas sits. As you see, two different policies for the state of Missouri, for the state of Kansas, in doing student attendance. But in general, for both states, no leadership, no guidance for school districts to make decisions on how to approach this school year and what they, at a state level, recommend for schools to do. So school superintendents are still figuring this thing out and doing the best that they can, I believe, with their boards. So the top issues that I have addressed are, and I'm going to keep these in the forefront, are the issues of the achievement gap. And so, as I mentioned, you may have suburban mothers or, and not so much the mothers, but suburban families who may be a little bit more engaged in their child's education and ensuring that the child is logging on, they're getting their homework done, they're meeting with the teacher, and the parent may be asking questions because, you know, it's been a long time since a lot of us have taken school. There might be basic things that maybe a ninth grade science class, I know for sure I would have forgotten. And so you've got a parent maybe emailing, or the students emailing the teacher for clarification. They're doing online tutoring. So they're ensuring in some form or fashion, and not at 100%, but there are efforts to make sure that that child understands and that they're getting the content at that grade level that's being presented, so that they are meeting the grade level expectations of what they should know at a particular grade level. Contrast that with the mother who is working, who is an essential worker, be it service, be it a hospital, wherever, where they cannot be as engaged or as involved with their child's education. And so they're given instructions before they leave. Hey, don't forget, log on at this time for your class. Don't forget, do your homework. Don't forget. And so looking at the societal structures and inequalities of just how it has impacted family structures, excuse me, the likelihood of that student just on their own saying, hey, let me do this, let me do my homework. And if they have a question, are they going to send their teacher an email? And so the likelihood is just not very high. And so the concern of the achievement gap during these COVID times is very real, and it just appears to be widening. At the same time, you can have a student, however, who wasn't able to focus in class just because of class disruptions, who's home now saying, hey, I can now focus. I can now do this reading. I can do my work. I can do my assignment. And they're probably excelling. And they're probably also likely to email the teacher saying, hey, I was reading, chapter 2. It said thus and so. I did not understand. Can you please explain? So it goes both ways. I don't want to paint a dark picture. However, I'm just simply looking at the history of the quality of education in our primarily urban schools and the achievement gap and the also the MAP test scores. And so I'm not trying to paint a bad picture. Again, I'm just looking at what we have seen before, what we know to be true. You can go and look at the numbers yourself at DESE's website and do the comparison between. And so we can say onus is on us and our community to make sure that this is just not a runaway train. So when we come out of this COVID thing, that our communities are so far behind and have been so left behind that there's no way for us to recover. We cannot go there. We cannot jeopardize another generation of this continual something in some form of fashion. So we definitely have concerns for the achievement gap. We have concerns for the digital divide. We have concerns that our kids will not have access to either the tool. So now we've got an upcoming doing special. What are we doing different to make sure that these kids come out with the soft skills in these times of COVID? So if we're saying, well, we're concerned with the achievement gap, you know that the employers are hearing that. And so we know that there's going to be probably even more scrutiny as our kids apply for college, as our kids try to get into the workplace if they decide not to go to college. So again, the onus is on us. We have got to make sure that our kids are ready and prepared, whatever little part that we can do, that we can play during these COVID times, to make sure that it's just not a total bust for our kids in our community. We have got to do something to address the digital divide. So we can do that collectively. We can do it individually. I think I mentioned before, just trying to get even along the Linwood Street here. I'm still working on the Linwood Technology Corridor. That right now starts here at Central High School, goes down to the Learning Center, where KUAW, Mr. Walker, where Harrison May of the Learning Center are. They've been doing it. They've been working in the gap. They've been standing there for years. Mr. Walker with Vex Robotics, having competitions, introducing kids to technology, doing first Lego League. We have those things. And guess what, people? For some of the programs, we need kids. And so even in the time of COVID, or before the times of COVID, I know Mr. Walker struggled to get our kids there. So if anybody's listening to this radio show, please let your family members know and your friends, they can't sit and let their child shrug their shoulders saying, I don't want to do technology. I don't like that. I just don't have an interest in that. And all this little hands up in the air that they be doing. No, shut that down. Tell them, okay, you might not like it, but you're going to learn it. So at least learn it so that you have that skill, and then you can make that decision later. But it is it's just not a good thing for these resources, such as myself here at Central, to go underutilized because the kids don't want to come, because they don't understand the value, and because they don't see why they should. So when we talk about the digital divide, what part is our community playing in that? What part does our community contribute to that divide by not encouraging technology, by not making sure that these kids are connected with the resources that are here? So when we look at the Linwood Technology Corridor, it will be an opportunity if you're looking for basic skills in technology, just to learn basically, how do I code? How do I start thinking how to code? Then you'll come here to Urban Tech. Oh, you want to go more advanced? Oh, you want to compete? You want to do robotics? Oh, let me send you to Mr. Walker down at the Learning Center who's doing Black Family Technology. He'll teach you that. Oh, you want to be a part of Cyber Patriots? Oh, I got you right here at Central. Oh, but you're a career professional who has been working in security and you want a credential. Let me send you to Harrison May. He's offering CISSP. So we've got it here. We need to market more of what we have. We need to get our kids engaged. Again, we can talk about this divide all we want. And I say, stop the talk. Let's stop the rhetoric. Let's let our community know, our kids know, and most of all, the parents know to make their kids. Because when I grew up, I didn't have a choice on participating or something. It was like, no, you will participate in something recreational. And so I don't get, and there's a lot of things about this generation and the parents who are raising them, I don't get, but this whole, oh, I'm not interested. I don't like that. I don't like this who cares? Just get the doggone skill, get the knowledge, get the understanding, just like Mr. Walker says in his radio, knowledge, understanding, awareness, and wisdom, and then make your decision. But just don't walk away with absolutely nothing. I've seen 4 boys, is it 4? 3 who were in my security class who hemmed and hawed and they didn't really commit. Well, 2 did commit. 2 finished the summer with me this past summer during COVID, continuing to take the class. The other 3 who didn't see the value, I don't really want that. And I kept saying, I don't care if you want it or not, just get the certification and you'll have it as an option. And what are those 3 boys doing right now? Sitting at home, sitting at the doggone house, talking about they don't know what they want to do or can't get a job because of COVID, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's my vent. That's my soapbox. I got on my soapbox too much. I think I need to end on a high note. How do I end on a high note? How do I turn this around? Let me see. Oh, the murals. Have you guys seen the murals? The Black Lives Matter murals. And so go check those out. There's 6 around Kansas City. You can Google the locations. I'm not even going to try to remember. Although if I had to try, I would say at Briarcliff. I would say on 63rd Street, 31st Street and Truce, and 18th and Vine. And I'm missing 2, but you can Google it. And so I'm excited about the initiative and really with the whole Black Lives Matter. If anything, will hopefully get our kids engaged and with some self-esteem for them to know that they do matter. I'm excited about that. So if that's what it takes for them to see the murals, for them to see these symbols, the Black Power symbols, and to actually say, okay, I think that, it's serious this time. Things may be changing. Let me get ready. Let me get prepared. So that's my hope for what's going on right now. I don't know what I'm doing next week as far as next week's show. I keep saying I did want to reach out to teachers this week because I know that they were busy preparing for this school year since classes did start for most of them this past Tuesday. So I am either going to have, if I can get a hold of some administrators next week or some teachers But anyway, we'll see. Something else might happen between now and then. But that's all I have right now. Thank you for listening. Y'all see my two alma maters there in the background. South Carolina State, Orangeburg, South Carolina is where I went undergrad for my Bachelor of Science. And then I moved on to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville for my Master of Education in Instructional Technology. So let me see. Let me give them a little shout out. Can y'all see them in the background? I hope that teacher who I borrowed them pennants from don't ask for them back. I hope she don't see this show because I want my pennants. I'm going to keep those. So anyway, that's it for today. I am Ina P. Montgomery. Oh, did I announce the change of my domain from urbantech.net to urbantech.org? And I am excited. I will be working with a group of students, Black students, unfortunately not here in Kansas City, but they are Black students who will be creating my website. And so I'm excited about that. I'm probably going to have a launch party because this website is a long time coming. So be on the lookout for that, or I'll keep you informed rather on what's happening with that. And so I do have a temp site up right now. It's just very generic, urbantech.org, O-R-G. So I am excited about that. And I hope by October, fingers crossed, my new site will be ready and up and running. So anyway, that's it for today. I am Ina P. Montgomery, founder and executive director of Urban Tech, where TEC is the acronym for Technology Empowered Communities. And I am a Digi Sis in a Digi world. Signing off until next week. Mr. Walker, take me home.